The deployment of aviation for the defense forces is a top priority. Volodymyr Zelensky emphasizes that there are already agreements with partners regarding new aircraft, which Ukraine considers the best in the world.
As of today, Ukraine has agreements for the delivery of 150 military aircraft to Ukraine. Gripen, 100 Rafale aircraft. In our opinion, these are the best aircraft in the world that exist. Of course, there are also further aircraft. Currently, the Ukrainian Air Force is equipped with F-16S, but they are not new. And those 250 aircraft I mentioned are new. We will also revive civil aviation, we will develop it, but we will definitely end the war and then focus on this direction as well.
Let me bring into the conversation aviation expert and candidate of technical sciences, Bohdan Dolintse. Mr. Bohdan, hello.
Greetings.
Let's try to see if we can have a slightly different visual setup so I can see you because I'm appearing very small. Thank you, you look wonderful. Mr. Bohdan, let's figure out what's going on with these 250 Rafale and Gripen aircraft. First of all, let's emphasize that this won't happen by the end of the year. And as far as I understand, these discussions are about spreading the deliveries over up to 10 years. But it seems we're actually lucky to be getting them within 10 years at all. Let's focus on the part that will directly help us in the war. What does this mean in terms of quantity and changes to tactical and strategic objectives in the air?
When we talk in general terms, 250 aircraft. We need to understand that overall, in fact, we're talking about relatively modern machines. These are aircraft that meet the current requirements of the battlefield and the challenges that exist specifically in the air component. Waging war. Secondly, overall, this is the number required to ensure strategic actual defense and superiority in the air component. Said. These aircraft, still Soviet, MiG-29s, Su-25s and so on, that are being used, we have to be objective. Given the high-intensity use in recent years, their service life will realistically end somewhere around 2030. These F-16 fighter jets that Ukraine has received today are certainly not brand new aircraft, even though they have undergone several extensive technical upgrades over the years. However, it is important to note that their actual remaining service life will likely only be about 5 to 10 years at most. It's possible that some of these aircraft can be upgraded or restored for further use, but this would only extend their service life by perhaps another 5 years. But we have to understand that even today, these planes are considered to be older aircraft, Generation 4 plus, and they are still inferior to more modern systems. 200 to 250 aircraft is the number that Ukraine needs even as of today. But it's clear that finding these planes so quickly in the world is practically an impossible task. And indeed, in the long term, it will take on average about 10, maybe even a little more years. Realistically, these aircraft can be acquired provided there is consistent and sufficient funding for these purchases.
And let's try to understand how they should be integrated, how they should be combined with the aircraft we already have. And it's not just the F, which the president mentioned. The F-16 in particular, well, it's an older version, but still. This is also a legacy of the post-Soviet period, and there are other aircraft as well, which we don't talk about openly, but we are monitoring how the situation at the front is changing a bit. Perhaps you could comment specifically on these SABs, which serve as coordination headquarters. Do you already know for sure about their presence here and how it will be coordinated? And one more important point, sorry, let me add another question. What will the preparation of the teams look like? Because definitely...
Look, first of all...
Yes.
When we talk about Western platforms, we need to understand that there are corresponding systems for standardizing the use of these platforms. In other words, there are so-called standards, which are essentially designed to ensure the unification of the use of Western weaponry by those countries that have it in service, regardless of the type or series of equipment. As a rule, this is exactly what leads to the fact that today Ukraine is already operating the same Mirage 2000S and Western aircraft like the F-16. One of the main tasks will be to ensure a seamless or at least sufficiently flexible transition. That is, we need to understand that training will indeed be necessary, and it will be necessary to prepare the appropriate material and technical base. However, overall, from the perspective of operation and tactical use, the systems must be integrated into a unified NATO system according to the relevant standards. This means that the introduction of additional systems, complexes, or aircraft must operate within the same systems and standards. and as much as possible simply be integrated. The second important point is that we need to understand that 250 new aircraft is a rather long-term process. And this means that there will be more than enough time to train the flight crews. The key issue is that these processes need to be started on time with the necessary infrastructure and training provided for cadets and future pilots who in 3, 4, 5 or perhaps even 10 years will be operating these platforms on the territory of Ukraine.